Hello everyone. Bertrand Russell, I'm getting all philosophical today. Bertrand Russell, the philosopher, said, let me see if I can remember this and get this right. To say that life itself has meaning is a misuse of language. That meaning in life results from life events. I'll say that again. To say that life itself has meaning is a misuse of language. Meaning in life results from life events. I've had some life events recently, the details of which are not important, that have been rather unsettling. And it's been a bit uncomfortable here in Sonia Christie land. And it got me thinking how easy it is to lose weight and to maintain when everything's going a-okay, when life is smooth and I'm not feeling particularly stressed, it's easy peasy. But when it's feeling unsettled or uncomfortable, then the desire to self-soothe or self-medicate, as I often say, gets stronger in me. I'm mostly resisting that urge, but it's not as easy, and I'm definitely feeling the tug more as these things have been happening. When I get unsettled, it leads to a little bit of uncertainty. And then in me, I start questioning myself. I start doubting myself in whatever life event it is. My self-esteem starts to drop a little bit as I start to think, oh, maybe I didn't get that right. And I feel rather uncomfortable and I don't like that discomfort. And so guess what? I block it out. I numb it with a bit of food rather than face it. We do this in all different ways by, rather than looking at what it is that we need to do about the situation and dealing with it head on, we'll often try and either numb it and block it out. So that's where alcoholism and drug addiction comes in. Food is not deemed as nearly as dangerous or severe an addiction, but I believe it is because of the health implications of obesity now. It's a form of blocking out the discomfort. We either do that or we do it in all sorts of other ways. If we're not feeling okay in one area of our lives, then we'll try and get that okayness from another area in our lives. So a really good example of this actually is bullying, where if someone's not feeling so great about themselves or the stuff that's going on in their lives, then they will make others feel bad to make themselves feel a bit better and to give themselves that sense of power. That's where gang culture comes from. Or it may be that someone isn't so happy in one particular area of their life, but they are going to be driven to be incredibly successful at work, and so they will want to get that sense of I'm okayness from their work environment. Or it might be through connecting with others in some way. And I've definitely noticed that in myself, that as the uncomfortable situations have been happening in my life, I've sought to fill the gap that has created by connecting more strongly with others in my life, and that happens in our environment, in our society, through food and drink, doesn't it? Which makes it harder for those of us who are trying to watch our weight. And it's interesting that I can think that I'm actually plugging the gap that the uncomfortableness is creating, but actually I'm good enough despite whatever is making me feel uncomfortable, and that can be hard to remember sometimes. My challenge, and I guess the challenge for all of us human beings, is to remind ourselves, for me to remind myself, that I am enough even when there is uncomfortable situations going on, even if I mess up, even if I'm not perfect, even if something has happened to really upset me, I'm still okay and I'm still enough. And as I was pondering on this, I was reminded of Tony Robbins. He has, I'm just turning over, I've got a piece of paper here and I'm just turning it over so that I get this absolutely right for you. He has a theory about what us human beings need, and he feels that the 6 human needs are, and they kind of balance one another on a fulcrum, don't know what it's called, of certainty or comfort, and on the other side of the seesaw, so if that's comfort and certainty on one side, the other side is variety or uncertainty. In my newsletter this week, by the way, I'm going to write a little bit more about this and put up a visual about it. So if you go to my business Facebook page, if you're not one of my clients and you want to learn a bit more about this, if you go to my Sonia Christie Cambridge Weight Plan Facebook business page, there's always a link to the newsletter in that. The third of the 6 human needs is significance, and that often means with yourself. That sort of sense of life meaning that you feel inside of you here. And then the other side of that seesaw is significance with others, or some I've heard call it love and connection, being part of the wider community. So there's one seesaw at the top, which is certainty versus uncertainty, a middle seesaw, which is significance with yourself and significance with others, and then a lower seesaw, which is growth on one side, so that's personal growth, learning and just not necessarily studying, but learning about yourself and learning about life. And then on the other side of that seesaw is contribution, so the importance of helping others. And Tony Robbins feels, and lots of other psychologists feel, that each of these, so there are 6 areas, 2 on each end of these seesaws, each of these areas in your life, you need, if you take that top one of certainty versus uncertainty, if everything was certain in your life, God, it would be boring, wouldn't it? We need a little bit of uncertainty in life, so we need a balance on that jigsaw, because that gives uncertainty, gives us a bit of spice and variety in our lives, so we don't get bored. We need to feel, so the middle seesaw, remember, was significance with yourself and significance with others. If we were just focused in on significance with self, well, that'd be quite lonely, wouldn't it? So we do, as human beings, we need to have, remember, it's the 6 human needs, we need to be able to connect with others. So that's an important thing as well. And then the bottom one, both of those indeed, and the bottom ones were growth and contribution. If all you were doing was helping others all the time, well, then you'd very soon get burnt out. And actually learning and self-development is important to be able to help others. So you can see that each of these areas is really, really important. When I'm unsettled and uncomfortable, I often go to these 6 human needs and take a look at which of these areas is out of kilter. There's often something going on in one of these areas that is unsettling those seesaws slightly, and I need to have a look at that. I find that a really, really helpful tool in my life. They all, however, it's kind of hard to explain this when I've described them as 3 seesaws, but remember that middle one, that middle seesaw with significance with self and significance with others. That significance with self is almost the bit in the middle that binds all the others together, and that is the one where, when I'm starting to feel unsettled and uncertain, that tells me that I haven't got enough sense of my own significance, of my own self. I haven't got enough of that I'm okayness inside of me, and that's what I need to look at. And I was really, really reminded of this when I met up with a few of my team and on Saturday for some training, and one of them, Nell, who's an a very talented Cambridge weight plan consultant. We were talking about maintenance, and she said something so simple but so powerful that it stuck with me ever since. And our meeting wasn't even about maintenance, but she said about her motivation to maintain that she realised that it hinged on the fact that she was worth the effort to maintain, that she was worth it. And that goes back to significance of self. She gave enough importance in that seesaw to the significance of herself, and needing to realise that herself was important enough to put in the effort that it takes to maintain. And that's true for weight loss as well. People who are struggling a little bit with weight loss, it may be that one of the areas they need to look at is prioritising themselves and giving themselves that importance and that significance, so that they do look after themselves in that way. It's okay, is kind of what I'm saying here, to meander through life, to feel uncertain and unsettled. That's life. That is what life is all about, is seeing these moments, going through these moments. If it was just certain all the time, going back to those 6 human needs again, if life was so simple that I always managed to maintain all the time without any difficulty, then blimmin' heck, it would be boring. Yeah, I'd be slim all the time, and I'd be quite happy with that. And there wouldn't be the struggle that I sometimes feel there is. But each of those struggles are learning about me and about my life and the meaning of my life to me, because that's different for all of us. There is a quote that I read, another quote that I read recently, which was, "Not all that wander are lost." And I thought, oh, that's really cool. That means that actually through the times when I feel like I'm stumbling a bit in the dark and I'm not quite sure, did I do the right thing there? Or, oh God, I messed up there a bit. Or I don't know what to do. That's okay. It's okay. It's all part of life, all part of the process of life. And that's really rather lovely, I think. I'm trying to remember the person who said this now. Tate Weber said that the true meaning of life is to give our life meaning. So if you think of those 6 areas again, which of those areas of your life do you need to look at? What is it that is going to fit? What is it that's feeling a little bit unbalanced? What is it that's going to make your life feel more balanced? What do you need to look at? If we're feeling uncomfortable, then we need to look at why. And those 6 human needs are such a great starting point. Hope that helps.